1, I'm Shannon Slatton. Here's a look at a few stories making news today.
A man is in the hospital with multiple gunshot wounds after an officer-involved shooting in Robbinsdale. According to Robbinsdale police, officers were dispatched to a home in the 3300 block of France Avenue North shortly after 11:30 Saturday night after they received a report of a suicidal person with a gun. Robbinsdale police also say they attempted to contact the man when he unexpectedly came out of the house with a gun, advancing on police and ignoring commands to stop. Officials say that's when an officer fired their weapon. The victim is 29-year-old Adam Nelson of Robbinsdale. Nelson's family say he was shot multiple times and is in ICU in critical condition.
He also struggles with mental health issues, and those things need to be talked about more throughout in the public. And on Saturday night, he was at one of his worst places, and tragically this is what came out of that.
Chad Nelson says his brother is a kind soul. He loves his family and loves to ride motorcycles.
He's a funny guy. He's a very larger-than-life kind of guy, and he's very caring. He has a huge heart.
The family says they called police to get Adam help, and they're disappointed how the situation ended.
There needs to be a better system in place for when there is a person that is in a suicidal state or agitated, and it's just sad that this is what came out of it.
A GoFundMe is set up to help with medical expenses since Adam doesn't have medical insurance. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is investigating the case. They tell me there are no further details available. In Robbinsdale, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
There's now more clarity for drivers and police officers on what to do during a traffic stop, particularly if the driver is legally carrying a firearm. The change comes 4 years after the fatal shooting of 32-year-old Philando Castile. On July 6, 2016, Philando Castile was shot and killed at a traffic stop by a St. Anthony police officer after Castile told the officer he had a gun in the car.
He paid for children's lunch.
Since the incident, Philando's mother, Valerie Castile, has been advocating for changes to the state's driver's manual. Those changes were included last week.
If everyone abides by that manual, everyone will be in compliance with state statute.
Commander Garrett Fleslin with the Brooklyn Center Police Department says the driver's manual gives guidance that everyone should follow if they get pulled over by a cop.
Some of the big stuff, keep your hands on your steering wheel where the officer can see it.
The manual advises motorists to also let the officer know they have a firearm and tell the officer the firearm's location.
But definitely don't start reaching for anything. If you say, hey, I've got a gun, and start reaching for it, that's going to just raise the level of concern by the officer.
Fleslin says it's important to stay calm. He says it's also possible the officer will take possession of the firearm until after the traffic stop to ensure safety.
The big thing at that point is just do what the officer asks.
According to state statutes, legally you don't need to voluntarily announce you have a firearm unless an officer asks you. However, Fleslin says the best and safest practice is for citizens to let officers know upfront about any firearms present. Pafu Yang, CCX News.
I'm Eric Nelson. Today we are at East Palmer Lake Park in Brooklyn Center, where according to local residents over the weekend, there was a rowdy party with loud music, an overflow crowd, and a lot of garbage left behind.
It's a little disappointing. I tried to come here daily just for nice walks. You want to be able to have a nice, safe place to go to, so it's kind of frustrating to hear of things like that.
One person told us that even though the park closes at 10 p.m., the partygoers were there well past midnight. When we walked around the facility, we saw a grill and even a car bumper.
Every once in a while you'll see all kinds of just garbage laying there, big objects just laying here and there and scattered about the park on the trail. It didn't just show up out of the blue. I mean, somebody had to bring it there and leave it there, and it's frustrating when you have a nice place to go to. It's like I said, it's for everybody to enjoy. But a bumper, though, I'm still trying to figure out that one.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the city is downplaying this big bash here at East Palmer Lake Park. One official said there was a little more trash than usual, but nothing more than your typical weekend. In Brooklyn Center, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
If you've had just about enough of online this and virtual that, good news. Robbin Gallery in Robbinsdale has resumed normal gallery hours. Back in early March, the Robbin Gallery kicked off spring with their March Madness members show. Then it hit. Pandemic panic and a full-on social shutdown shuttered the gallery for 3 months. But now they're back.
Welcome back.
The March Madness show was still on the walls and not going anywhere, so rather than change up the exhibit before anyone really had a chance to see it, they thought they'd leave it up now that they're open again.
We have mixed media, we have some fiber art, we have photography, oil painting, watercolor, acrylics. I think if you're thinking about getting into art, come and see something that might inspire you and enjoy an evening here at the gallery.
You have the rest of July to catch the members show, which is very eclectic and chock full of talent from the most ardent artists of the Robbin Gallery community. The gallery is requiring visitors to wear masks while in the gallery. For additional information on the gallery's protocols, we'll have links to the Robbin Gallery website on CCX Media. In Robbinsdale, Neil Persley, CCX News.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.
Last week, Hopkins head girls basketball coach Brian Cosgriff announced his retirement. We talked to Coach Cos that day to ask him what went into the decision.
Well, what it went into the decision is that my principal, Jody D. St. Hubert, she decided to take another job, and I just loved her to death. The head custodian at my building, he decided to retire, and then my sister got ill, and with our history of health in our family, I just felt like it was time. My daughter was moving on to college, and I was unsure of the future. So I felt like, you know what, this is time to let somebody else try to do this.
You have thought about retiring from teaching, but still coaching one more year here at Hopkins, but it ultimately decided not to do that.
Right. I accepted a job at Providence Academy, and very thankful and humble for that opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that they understood that I was there first as a teacher and second as a coach. And with their schedule working out, I wasn't going to do anything to disrupt that. And that you know, it was a wonderful opportunity, so I just decided it was time.
2020 didn't end the way you would have liked or your players would have liked, not getting a chance to play for that championship. But having said that, you end your career here, 62 straight wins. And the class of 2020 includes your daughter, getting to coach her, and Paige Becker's maybe the greatest player ever to play in the state. So not a bad way, ultimately, to go out, right?
Very great. I'm very humble, very thankful, very grateful. At the end of the day, how many coaches get to say they went out on a win? Their last game was a win. And I get to. Thankful that we got 30-some games in last year. You know, is it the way you want it to end? No, but you know what, that's life. You get over it. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about the relationship, it's about those kids. And we always break the huddle saying family, and we truly were. And the kids live that, and that's what our program's always been about, that culture, creating that we care about each other, whether you're Paige Beckers or whether you're the 18th player.
For you, what evolved in your game, so to speak, as a coach from start to finish, either from very beginning of your coaching career or the first year as the head girls coach?
What I realized that as I went through this journey is it wasn't about me. We were coaches there for the kids and to provide that vessel of leadership, and that it wasn't about the wins and losses and the awards that we can accumulate as a coach, but it's about the relationships you can accumulate with players. And that's called maturity. And you know, along the way, you learn how to accept officiating better, you learn how to accept relationships with other coaches and teams, and you learn how to accept winning and losing in a more mature fashion. And I think that's the number one thing that as I went on, I'm proud to say that I grew up along this journey.
How much are you going to miss coaching basketball, and especially these girls that are coming back next year at Hopkins?
Well, I'm going to miss the girls, no question about it, but I will be around, and I look forward to watching. I'm going to be a fan. I can honestly say I don't think I'll miss coaching anymore. I really won't. I'll always be a fan. I told the kids today, I said, this has always been your team. As coaches, we provide you with leadership and guidance and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, coaches get too much credit for winning and too much crap for losing. And so if you're truly interested in who your next coach is, have a voice. Make sure you go up to the athletic director, the administration, and say, you know what, we really want to be a part of this decision, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to live with that decision.
Brian told us one of the things he'd like to try in retirement is to do color commentary on our girls' basketball telecasts on CCX.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.